Hey everyone, this is Joseki bringing you another audio commentary that is copyrighted 2007 WCReplays.com. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about a little strategy versus orc that is commonly known as the firelord tower rush. Before I get too much more in depth here, get the first replay loaded up at the 1 minute and 30 second mark. I'll talk at you for a bit. So yeah, this is a strategy I pretty much commonly, almost exclusively use in ladder. I'm not really a huge fan of playing it in league matches that I would have to play, or playing it, I guess, in more serious matches against better opponents, oftentimes. But I will say that more often than not, it's a very good strategy if your opponent is not expecting it, which is why it works so well in ladder, because most of the time you'll be playing versus an opponent whom you have never met. General things versus orc in this matchup. I would say that when you're going to be doing something like this, it's very important that you have the build order and you have the timing down pretty much to a T. There shouldn't really be any sort of question or any sort of trouble when it comes to exactly what you're going to be doing at the start. In a minute here, you're going to be seeing the tavern build order that I will be using, and it's very important to just sort of write it down and practice it a few times, and not get too over anxious in using the strat. Practice versus a computer a couple times. You get your tower placement, your tower range down. Just learning all the little things that all the little details that make the strat work so effectively. So yeah, I hope you're at the 1 minute and 30 second mark, and I will be getting this unpaused in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Unpause. Okay. So my build this game was, instead of, I would send my 5 to gold normally. The first one that comes back from gold, I sent it to build a barracks. The second one built a farm. The third peasant, I queued to my gold, then farm altar. So basically what you're getting is a very late altar, which is exactly what you want because you'll be going a tavern hero, and you get sort of an extra footman and a half. At about 6 dots of day, I call 4 militia, and I bring my 2 footmen down towards the tavern. I was slightly early, maybe 5 seconds too early, and sort of calling all my shit together to come down here. I should have waited a slight bit longer just so that I got the firelord at a better time. The peasant that built my altar is also building my lumber mill, which is an important thing to note. And I guess, generally speaking, when you're doing the strategy, the first tower you're going to be building is an arcane tower, especially versus Farseer or Blade Master, simply because what you're going to want to be able to drain the mana, kill summons, and basically just make their hero a lot less effective. Because the firelord doesn't exactly have as much longevity, it doesn't have Brilliance Aura, it does become quite difficult to keep him going for a long period of time without an arcane tower to sort of counter the other enemy's mana potions or whatever else it may be. Okay, so the first thing I noticed when I get to his base is he basically built a base that's supposed to beat firelord tower rushing. He built this wall of burrows with the barrack in front, which is pretty much the last thing you want to see when you do a firelord tower rush. Generally speaking, that sort of base, you never succeed in being able to tower. But being the Gosu that I like to believe I am, I was like, alright, well I gotta be able to do something here. So basically I'm gonna work on killing his barracks first. I start setting up this arcane tower in hopes that it will go up and just sort of be there while my defend research finishes, which I'll be researching right after this next footman comes out in my barrack. It'll be there to buy me some time, and it will be able to keep his wolf count down, so he won't be able to as effectively keep his harass on my towers going. As you can see, I only have 1 peasant. He was pretty adamant about killing all those peasants, and it did cause some trouble. But I do have 1 peasant repairing it. I killed a grunt, so I'm actually in very good shape right now. As long as I have this sort of positioning, I have a somewhat large army. He fused way too much resources and way too much wolves, focusing down my peasants when he should have been focusing down weak footmen, and essentially trying to stop my my army advantage. That's the really successful part about this push. Most players are going to be either focusing your footmen, or your summon, or your hero, or your peasants. They don't really play the opportunistic way, which I think is mainly the problem against people in defending tower rushes in general. You need to be an opportunist. If you're seeing peasants out of position, if you're seeing footmen out of position, if you're seeing anything just a little bit out of positioning, that's the thing you should be right-clicking at that moment. It shouldn't be this weird sort of I'm gonna right-click this thing only sort of thing. Okay, so as soon as I have defend, I run over here and I start focusing down his burrow. Defend basically makes your footman invincible to burrows and towers, so I basically abuse that power, take down this burrow, forcing him at low food, and just even that one burrow loss is going to cause a lot of trouble for him right now. Simply because of that, he is unable to build more grunts for the time being, and essentially he's going to have to spend another 180 gold, X amount of lumber, just to be able to put another burrow back up, and right now he's going to lose another burrow thanks to defend and my firelord. And I did call more peasants for my main, and I have started to build another tower. Part of the strategy is patience. Like, as much of it's a rush, you don't want your opponent to have too much time to counter your push. You do need to play the patience game. Like, as you saw, I was very patient. I didn't just rush in and try and take out those burrows in front, because I basically would have lost right there. And I think in many ways, being patient, especially in a situation like this where you have to tower in, is very important. Once those two burrows are gone in front, he has basically nothing. I can just keep towering and towering and towering. I have footman with defend, and I mean his war mill is done, so he's maybe gonna try and set up some towers, but it's really not gonna do anything. His farseer has just hit level 2, has such a low amount of mana, and he's sort of a distance from his shop right now, so he's not gonna be able to get all those tier 2 items or even tier 1 items right now to be able to continually defend the push. As for hotkeys and things like that, I just want to point out how I hotkey things. I have my main on 4, my barracks on 5, my altar on 6. So basically what I'm doing throughout this entire game, while I'm building farms and such, right now I'm like 34 of 36, so I mean I'm not going to be able to build too much more. But basically what I'm doing is I have custom keys, so my footman is always Q, and my peasant is always Q, so I'm just 4Q, 5Q, and every so often I'll just press 4Q, 5Q, and queue up another footman and another peasant. And that way I have I'm consistently pumping units, and I really never have to look back at my base, which is a very important point to be making, considering the fact that when you're versing things like burrows or what can be an explosively aggressive race like orc, generally speaking, you're going to be able to need to not be looking away, and you're going to be very efficient at macroing. He did tech to tier 2 this game, which was one of the mistakes that I believe cost him the game. When the orc is versing this sort of push, you really can't be teching to tier 2. There's a lot of lumber and gold to be lost doing that, and generally speaking, if you're going to go to tier 2, you're not going to have the extra resources for that hero if you want to survive the push. You're not going to have the extra resources for all the things you need. You need to build grunts, and you need to get a war mill up, and you need to try and tower yourself in. And